Hi guys, I'm humbled and honored to still remain your host for the Immigrant Story. So welcome back to the Immigrant Story page. As always, my name is Samuel, and just want to say a big thank you for your continuous subscription to our page. You are the backbone, the strength. So just keeping up for us. Happy New Year. I hope it's not too late to say Happy New Year. For me, it's actually a new year because this is the very first episode we're bringing to you this year. And yet, if you're watching this and you've not subscribed, please do subscribe. Definitely share and leave a comment, leave feedbacks. We want to know what you think. We want to know what you want to hear, the people you want to have on the channel. So definitely looking forward to your feedback. And yeah, let's jump in. Let's jump in quickly. Hello guys, just like I said, welcome back. And our content is always informative, it's always enlightening, it's always, packed. So today I've got no other person than the elegant Edeje. She's gonna be taking us through her journey so far. So I don't mislead you in terms of the acronym, because I know she's got so many. So I'm gonna definitely leave the introduction for her to do. So hi Edeje.
Hello, how are you doing? Hi everyone, my name is Edeje. I am Nigerian. I have lived in the UK for the past 11 years and I am, let me call it hybrid right now. There are a lot of things about me that it's not 100% Nigerian, but there's also a lot of things about me that's 100% Nigerian. I am a marketing and communications professional. I have worked in brand marketing for the past 14 years. But part of my story is that I decided to do a pivot somewhere else, which hopefully we'll cover in the rest of the presentation. So I'm looking forward to it and hope you enjoy it.
Thank you very much for that very brief introduction. Edeje is a very selfless person based on the fact that she drove 2 hours down for the shit. She could easily say it's too far, but I'm not going to come, but she has so much she want to dish out for you guys. So definitely stay tuned from the beginning to the end of this. So quickly, we're just going to be jumping into the questions. Don't worry, it's not going to be too far for a start. So we're just going to start touching it there. Well, if I'm to begin for a personal background, I've got it like, my first question is going to be, who would you say is Edeje?
Who is Edeje? That's a good question. Actually, if you had asked me this question 3 years ago, I probably wouldn't have been able to answer you. But I have done a lot of soul searching in the past 3 years, so I can give you a definite answer. Probably 5 years ago, I would have told you I'm a mom, I'm a sister, I'm a wife, because basically I have all of those fantastic labels, which I love. But who is Edeje? Edeje is a woman. I used to think it calls a girl, but basically, so who I am, I'm a woman, basically, that wants to live life. Like, I really, really love life, and I want to live it 100%. I want to ensure that everything my heart tells me to do, I'm able to do it in line with all the other responsibilities I have. I don't just want to be a mom. I don't just want to be a wife, sister, and all the other labels. I want to be me and live the life that was made for me. So that's basically
That's a beautiful response, because some people, we definitely dive into maybe, their professionalism. I know most times our life is basically centered around that, but realizing life outside of that is also very important. And speaking of children, she basically came with 2 of her beautiful kids. I mean, they're inside crunching some biscuit right now. But yeah, thank you very much for that introduction. Just quickly on my next question, when you were briefly introducing yourself, you stated that you've been in the country for 12 years, 11, 12, and the bracket. And I think this is going to be an interesting conversation, because I'm bringing you in, bringing you on to the Immigrant Story. I believe it's going to be like a reflective moment for you to really think, how's my journey been? How did this journey started? So that is where the next question is navigating towards. So, how did your journey started? Like, when what made you think UK was this place I want to spend? I'm spending 11 years now and going to spend more. What made you think that this was the perfect place for you 11 years ago when you were making that decision?
Okay. So I didn't in my life think I wanted to come and live in the UK. Okay. Never been a dream of mine. Like I said, there's still a lot of me that is 100% Nigerian. I've always loved Nigeria, loved Africa, loved all the things that make us us. So it's not a decision I made because I wanted to leave the country. I said enough. That's what happened. Oh, so I got married. My husband is was based here at the time, and I got married. And for me, I've never believed in long distance relationships and stuff. So I thought, you know what, we're married. I might as well come here and figure things out here. Because I don't see how you can have a family in two different cities. So that's what brought me to the UK, and it has been a journey. It has been a journey. Like I said, I've always loved Nigeria. So I'd say the first 2 years I really struggled trying to understand the people, trying to build community. Because for me, community is very key. And I come from a big family, so I've kind of always had community. So coming out of Nigeria and not having that community, my friends are not here. My husband is very quiet. All the talk I want to talk, but I cannot engage in that conversation, so it was hard. It was hard, And the first year, I also got pregnant with my son. So there was all of those emotions. So it has been a journey, but I have found my feet. I have found my community. My kids are, you would see they're like them public. I can say that kind of thing. So I've found my way, but it has been a journey.
It's interesting to know that it's actually been a very incredible journey for you, and seeing the fact that the foundation to Response is started from a love story. So anything is possible.
Oh yeah,
everything is possible. Maybe we should have a session on immigration, love, and stuff like.
Oh yeah, but that would be a good topic.
I think people would have to navigate towards that.
We'll be surprised how many people have moved to different parts of the world for this. Because usually the men that go to search, they go in search of other things, and then, women follow them because we got to marry, we want to see how we work.
That's an incredible story. So just another thing, long distance still work, guys. You can, definitely try that out. So for today's conversation, it's basically going to be centered on you pivoting career pivoting or started transitioning. How people are quite skeptical about doing that. There's so much that comes in terms of that, the challenge, the limitation, the fear. So it's something you've done, and even while you've done it, you're actually making progress in your new career journey. We want to understand that process. I believe it's going to be a motivation and probably a step in the right direction, or that's a nudge someone needs to make that movement, because sometimes you can really be overwhelmed in the career you're in right now, but you're really scared to make that movement because you're uncertain. No one knows what's on the other side. Yes. So you've been there, done that, and you're striving. So let's jump into that. So let's start from your initial career. What were you doing initially?
So like I mentioned at the beginning of the conversation, I have worked in brand marketing for the past 14 years. I have worked across fantastic organizations, actually, organizations that make you feel alive. You're bringing things to life, you're activating them, you're seeing people buy them. I think for me, one of the biggest joys of working in brand marketing is when I actually innovate. So I bring up a new product and then I go and see it on shelf. That my ritual was go to the shop and dance. I saw this product from the beginning till now. So I've loved bringing things to life. I've always loved that. But then I think it was COVID. That's when everybody kind of had time to bring it. It was COVID that I had the first thinking that maybe I could do something else, and what happened pretty much was, I think the more you progress in marketing, you move from the activation, which is what I love, being amongst people, doing the things, to how do I call it, more financials, more strategy development, all of the big pictures kind of thing, finance. And I love the big finance bit. And not numbers where they're telling me something, but when it's just numbers crunching you. Oh, how do we get to 50% profitability? Or how do we do this? Yeah, it's not something I enjoy that much, And I thought, okay, maybe I could do something else, but that something else was nowhere to be found, So it took me, it was a journey, and because I didn't know what that something else was.
Yeah.
I went through so many different things. So first of all, I thought, okay, maybe it's the organization. If I were to move to a new organization, maybe things will be different because a new organization might focus on more things than just crunching the numbers. And then I moved to a new organization, which is supposed to be the pinnacle of marketing. Like, if you don't like marketing, there's something is wrong. And that's what happened. I got there, and after 6 months, I was like, okay, I'm feeling exactly the same way. So there's something wrong here, But again, my husband is very pragmatic. So I had the conversation with him. What do you think? And he's like, find something else before you leave where you are, because that's the pragmatic thing to do. And I would say us as Nigerians as well, there's a mentality that once you get a good job, stay there and die. Literally, stay there and make sure you stay there. Yeah. There's that mentality. And I also had the same thing, and I'm like, doesn't make any sense. So on paper, it's perfect. Yeah. But I knew what I was feeling. I'm somebody that wakes up on Monday morning. I'm like, yes, let's go. Let's do this job. But I started having Monday blues, which is something I never, ever, ever have had in my life. So I knew there was something wrong, but I didn't know what to do. And again, nobody's supporting me because my husband is like, find something else. I literally couldn't say anything to my siblings as well, because my sister just moved around that time. She was also looking for a new job, and it just didn't make any sense, So anyway, I stayed for much longer than I should. And then finally, I would say things got to the point where I had to make a decision, that kind of thing. And I finally decided, okay, you know what? It's not going to be the end of my life. I think I saw a quote that reframed my thinking to say, you know what? Whenever you're trying to pivot, you're not starting from the scratch. You're starting from experience. I have experience. I have experience of moving country, number one, because when I came to the UK, I had to build a community. I had to build my skill sets in order to fit into the UK landscape. So I've done that before, and it worked. And, so I had to really clap myself up to say, you know what, you can do this, that kind of thing. And yeah, finally made the decision to just take some time off and try and figure out what it is I needed to do. Because I think what happens is, that's what happened for me. If you're in a place where you don't feel, a place that doesn't align with your spirit, it gets to a point where you become immobile. You're stuck. Literally, even the littlest things that used to come really easy to you will become so hard. That's the point I had gotten to, and I said, okay, you know what, there's nothing I can do. I literally can't even think in this place where I am. Yeah. So let's go away and just try and rethink life, literally. And that's what I did, basically. I took the time off, but in that period, I had also gotten a career coach, I had gone to therapy, I had done everything literally, because there's a lot of personal work that needs to happen then, and yeah, so in that period where I was still trying to figure things out, I was talking to a coach, I was doing some therapy, I was doing, everything just to try and understand. So by the time I decided to step away, I had already had some tools, to work with, and that space helps me to then finally start thinking, okay, what are my values? What are things I love doing? What are the skills I developed? What are the things I'm good at? And I put all of those things together and finally landed on internal comms, which is where I'm looking to move to now.
That is a remarkable judgment. Yes. I love the fact that, so from your journey, I love the fact that when you start observing this, you decided to move company and you did like 6 months somewhere else, but you still were experiencing the same feeling. So you actually realize that, okay, it's not the business, it's something that has to do with me.
Yeah.
That it's a beautiful thing, because most times we want to blame it without undergoing a self-assessment to really see if we are the problem or it's the other party involved in it. And I think, when you touched on my second question, because I was going to ask, okay, how we want to stay safe to get, so that skepticism is there, like moving and the possibility of landing what you're dreaming of getting.
Yeah.
My next question was going to be like, how did you get the tone? Where did the whole confidence booster came in from? But I think you touched on it because you spoke about going to therapy, doing the self-evaluation, looking into your skill, and putting all of this together. You could easily say, okay, I think I'm here to be able to fit into this position, which is more like a confidence booster. But the therapy had to help you maybe decluttering those negative thoughts and, amplifying those positive thoughts. But if there's anything outside of all of that you've just mentioned, I really want to understand your confidence booster.
Okay, I will tell you, it's very true. Okay, no confidence, no spark. Your confidence booster is action.
Okay.
You get confidence from acting. You don't get confidence before you act. Because when I decided to leave, I was scared shitless. Because
actually, right in there.
Anything can happen, literally anything can happen. But I would say one of the things that's helped to some extent, and it's something that I have to appreciate the fact that not everybody has that. Mm-hmm. I have a husband that can hold us down for one, that kind of thing. So being able being able to take that time off, knowing fully well that, okay, we're not going to suffer, we're still going to be able to eat, the house is, we are still going to have a roof over our head. I think that's a big privilege that not everybody has. And I think that's something that I have to acknowledge, not everybody has that.
Yeah.
But I think that was the biggest thing that I said, okay, you know what, I have the room to think. But confidence only comes after you've started acting. It doesn't come when you just like that, and what you mentioned in terms of the coaching, the therapy, all of those things, those are actually actions, that will then make you think that, okay, what, I could potentially do this. And I think it's also, instead of saying what if, it's what could be. Sometimes when you ask yourself that question, I don't know, for me at least, it gave me so many possibilities, and considering I had been on this journey of feeling unfulfilled for a really long time,
mm-hmm.
I had gotten to the point where I was like, you know what, anything is better than how I'm feeling right now, so whatever I do from here will only be better. It can't be worse, and sometimes that's the point people have to get to before they can make any moves.
It's great when you said the word unfulfilling. There were so many thoughts that just came to my head. While you were in your initial role, you weren't doing bad. You were delivering, you were meeting expectation. So unfulfilling most likely does not come from a place of not achieving what you want to achieve. That can come. It could be like, from what you said, an internal feeling in a way. So you could be delivery where you are, but in a way you're not having that conviction that this is. Thank you so much. Thank you. I think I'm actually learning from this guy. So there's no way you're not going to learn from this conversation. So, but yeah. And also, I want to give a personal shout out to your husband. So yeah, when you were saying that, I was going to ask, how long did you take your time to reflect, think, plan, and strategize and get back into the market?
Oh, it didn't take me too long. So 3 months is what I gave myself. I'm a very... people that know me don't believe that I am methodical. But where? And that's because I do most of it in my head.
Yeah.
I don't talk through my process with people. Usually, I talk once when I'm done. So a lot of people that know me will say I'm spontaneous, but I'm not. I'm very methodical. I take my time to think through things, and then I say it when it's finally done. So the other oh, you just mentioned it. How come you're already doing it? I'm like, no, it took me time to actually do it. So I would say I'll also, give a shout out to my husband, because when I decided that I wanted to stop working and just try and figure things out, he says, so what's the plan? And at that point, like I said, my brain was just body, couldn't think, I couldn't do anything, and that question then made me go back and think, okay, so what's the plan really? And it's funny, but I had a spreadsheet basically. Okay, all right, I'm going to be out of work for this amount of time, and this is what I'm going to do in that amount of time. So my first 3 months basically was just try and figure things out, try and be sure, which I've realized you can never be 100% sure. You can just be sure enough, to keep moving, basically. So my first 3 months was try and be sure to some extent that this is what you want to do. And then after that, you can then go full throttle into figuring things out. So the first 3 months, what I was doing was a lot of networking. So I reached out to some internal comms people who, linked me up with different things, invited me for conferences, invited me for networking events. So that's pretty much what I did the first 3 months. But in addition to figuring out the career, I'd say there was also a personal thing that I had to do as well, which I started Toastmasters, which is basically a public speaking support group, let me put it like that. For people that I be shy, to talk in public and all of those kind of things. And I think for me, because I worked in brand marketing, it's okay for me when I'm doing a presentation. So I've taken my time, I've thought through what I want to say and all of those kind of things. So it's great when I'm presenting. But when I have to do impromptu speech, which is where I struggle, which is, for instance, you go to networking events and you're basically just talking to people and stuff. That's where I struggle, because I have so many things in my head and I don't know which one I should say. Like, so at the end of the day, I might be in a group of people there and everybody's talking, and I'm quiet. Not because I don't have anything to contribute, but I don't so much. I don't know when to bring out the thing, all of those kind of things. So So I had to do Toastmasters. I would say Toastmasters really helped because it's a fantastic group in that you do the public speaking and they come back and give you feedback. So they're like, oh, great, you did great here. Maybe talk a little bit slower. Maybe do a pause here. You could have just created a bit more to ensure that, so they give you all of that feedback. And I would say what Toastmasters is great at as well, it makes you realize that you're not as bad as you think. Because a lot of people, when you start on that stage, because in your body, you're feeling really nervous. Oh my God, what are they thinking? Nobody can really see that from the outside. So there's also a confidence booster there to realize that, oh, I'm not as bad as I think I am at this thing. And the more you go, the more confidence you get as well going. So I would say Toastmasters was one of the things I did to improve myself, per se. But I also just got involved in other things to keep myself busy, basically. So I didn't know how to ride a bike until basically I got a bike and I learned how to ride a bike. I had signed up for a half marathon. So I would say there's the career part. There's also the human being part,
Press the button.
Exactly. Just try to understand what are the things I like, what are the things I don't like, all of this. So just try to figure out myself as well, which actually helped, which career is part of me, but there's so many other parts of me, that I need to be able to figure out as well, right? What brought it all together is the fact that all of those things were not working.
Yeah, that's really good to know that those are your confidence booster. I think another part, like when you were talking, you said something about people think you can be very spontaneous, but you can be methodological. So most I want to think that those people who think you're spontaneous are family people. Oh, take for the credit. Like I know this person, you got to this thing. But yeah, that's really good. Actually, good. Thank you so much. Thank you. I think you're the second person mentioning Toastmaster, to be honest. Not on the show, but like outside of the show, someone has spoke about Toastmaster so good. So maybe we're gonna include a link for anyone who's interested. So you can just go on your website, and if it's something you're gonna need, I think it might be something. Looking from the feedback she gave, you might want to not just try. So yeah, thank you very much. So the next question is gonna be, now you're at this new role, There's nothing that doesn't come with challenges. Most times they're like unforeseen expectations before jumping into the role. And you've done the evaluation and see that, okay, you've got like a good amount of transferable skill you can utilize in your new role.
Yeah.
So take us to the challenge. What has been the challenge and how have you been able to integrate fully and, just being on top of your game now going forward?
Okay, so I think what we've probably skipped is the fact that I am still on this journey. I haven't landed the role yet.
Oh, okay.
I'm literally still on the journey to landing the first role. So I'd say the biggest challenge, actually trying to land the first role, because at the moment, the recruitment market is a mess. There's so many people in the market, so it's a demand and supply. There's so much demand and very little, there's little supply, little demand and how much in London to supply, that kind of thing. So it has been tough, basically trying to land my role, basically, in internal comms. But like you rightly said, I have loads of transferable skills from marketing and a lot of additional things that I think will make me a stronger internal comms person, compared to somebody that has just the traditional experience. But speaking to people on the field, basically, a lot of the challenges that they face is lack of understanding of what internal comms is, which is wild. Because internal comms is, if done well, can actually be the thread that goes across the entire organization. Because what internal comms does basically is inform employees about what is going on, and also just helps bring the business strategy to life. So if the business basically, and my vision is to get to A, B, C, D, that's what internal comms does. It makes it very clear for all of the employees within the organization to understand this is where we're going, so that we can then come together and go there. But a lot of organizations, especially organizations that are massive, it's very difficult because you have that overarching business strategy, but somehow all the other functions kind of have their own thing that they're doing. So nobody really comes together. So that's where internal comms comes in, to ensure that you understand that business strategy, but you also understand what the different functions are supposed to achieve, and then find a way to marry everything through so that everybody then understands where they're going, so that we can, move together to get to that place. So for me, that is the key thing internal comms is supposed to do, but a lot of organizations don't understand that. So internal comms professionals still face challenges in terms of getting information from the different functions, for instance. So we come and ask you, what is it that you want to achieve? And then I need to ask me that question. And so sometimes that's the challenge that they face. But I think also some leaders don't fully understand it either, because internal comms is supposed to help leaders as well to ensure that every time they are speaking to the team, that narrative that has been formed is clear across their speech as well. So they would actually sometimes help ghostwrite speeches and stuff like that. And sometimes the leadership team don't fully understand as well. So there's a little bit of pushback from the leadership team as well. Like, oh, maybe it should just be a dissemination thing. So I want to say this thing, internal comms saying it. Meanwhile, it shouldn't be like that. It should be more of a collaboration. Okay, you know what, you want to say that? Great. This is what we've been saying already. How do we make sure that this thing fits everything else that we've been saying, so that we're not duplicating messages, or we're not saying the wrong, we're not saying things that are clashing against each other, but to ensure that there's still that narrative going across the organization. So sometimes it's just, I would say the biggest challenge is the fact that people within the organizations do not fully understand what internal comms is and the value that it brings. And I think that is changing significantly, because internal comms professionals realize that now and are trying as much as possible to ensure that they can quantify their work, not in who opened the email, but in what did they do after they opened the email, which is the main thing that the business is concerned about. So yeah, I am positive that in 2-3 years, basically, that perception will start to change, and we will start to face other challenges because never goes away, does it?
Yeah. That's great. You just give me like a 5 minutes lecture, like a high level presentation on internet comms. So definitely, yeah, you're definitely in a good position to land that. So fingers crossed, and looking forward to our work at LinkedIn. So looking forward to everyone else. Happy to announce and share.
I'm driving I don't have to.
I was hungry.
I have to.
I don't know feeling.
I literally just pressed that.
I got to finish. Definitely, it's gonna work. It's gonna work. I think the good thing about our conversation is the questions I've got like in line in terms of, okay, this is confidence, this is confidence. It's being responded to in one way or the other within the conversation. So ideally, the next question was going to be your support system or the community that's helping help teach you this journey.
Yeah.
Or would you actually, praise your husband over and over again, written one, and you mentioned Toastmasters, a personal thing. And I believe that it's more like a community thing as well. Yeah, if I'm wrong, please just let me know. But are there other individuals, community resources that you leaned into or you're leaning on in this process?
Yeah. So definitely my husband is amazing. But I also have two of my sisters here in the UK. So that also is a good thing because sometimes there's certain things you want to discuss with the people that have known you right from when you were in little town. So it helps that I'm able to have this, really in-depth conversations with people who know me.
Yeah.
But generally, I'd say the internal comms community has been fantastic because I started this whole journey in January of 2014, and I have built such a fantastic network from then till now.
Yeah.
I don't think I've even had that network in the 14 years I worked in brand marketing. So I think the internal comms community they've been so warm, they've been so welcoming, they've been so helpful. In January, I reached out to, like I said, a couple of internal comms professionals, but I wanted to be able to understand these challenges that they face because sometimes there's what you see on paper as a profession and what it is in real life, that kind of thing. So speaking to a lot of internal comms professionals helped me understand these challenges. So I know that I'm not going there with rose-colored glasses. I know what the challenges I will face is, or the challenges I will face are. And I'm already thinking ahead on how to ensure that I land running. I'm already dealing with those challenges head on. And the part of what helped me build that network as well is the professional communities basically within communication. So I am at the moment a member of the IOIC, which is the Institute of Internal Communication. So I am actually, and I choose IC ambassador. What that means basically is that because internal comms is a profession that a lot of people come in from different places. So journalism, media, all sorts of different places. The first couple of things I've heard whenever I ask people, how long have you worked in internal comms? They always say, I fell into it. I fell into it from different places, basically. So the Institute of Internal Comms came up with this campaign to kind of debunk that. So yes, a lot of people have fallen into internal comms, but they want it to change going forward.
Yeah.
They want a lot of people like myself to choose internal comms. So from when you finish school, basically, as a communications professionals, you also consider internal comms as one of the things rather than just PR, marketing, all of the things that are more outside there, for people to actually consider it. So part of what we do as I choose IC ambassadors is to go to universities, talk to them about internal comms. So what the crash course I've just given you out, that's literally what I would do in a university, to speak to them, say, what are you interested in, that kind of thing, and tell them about internal comms, so that also helps them put it in the consideration list. And then I'm also on the board of I always mess this one up. I'm also on the board of the International Association of Business Communicators.
Okay.
And that's that one. Yes, that's the long one. But it's an association that covers the entire communication spectrum. So instead of internal comms, it's just internal comms. But IABC, which is the short form of that, is actually covers PR, it covers marketing, it covers the full spectrum of comms. And I think what I love more about it is the fact that it's international. So for instance, if I wanted to go back to Africa, for instance, I will still have an association there. I will still have a community there to speak to. And also you just get insights from different countries as well, which sometimes can be different, but it helps you, have a more holistic view of the profession across the world. So I think, those two communities have been really helpful. And because I'm actively working on those communities as well, it has helped basically build my network. But generally, I would say the communications communities have been fantastic. They've embraced me like I've worked here forever. So that support system has been really, really good.
That's good. That's really great. I think one cannot. Even the Bible said it in a way. I know that's tied to marriage, where they say one chase 1,000, two chase 10,000. So there's much that having one person who is supporting you or pushing you to the right resources in the top channels. There's a way it boosts your confidence and just puts you in the right space. And you taking it upon yourself to get into this community, network with individuals, build that community as well. Just also gives you that confident booster and position you where you want to be in terms of those people supporting opportunities and pushing it to your end as well. So exactly, well done to yourself as well. So I stay under this. As a question I want to ask. So this one is: so how would you define success now? Success in the sense that how you started this journey in comparison to now, like here. Also, how would you define the success?
Okay, so I started when I said who Edeje is. Edeje it's really somebody that actually wants to live her life to the very fullest. That is my definition of success right now. That I am actually doing the things that come naturally to me. Like if I were doing something just for the sake of doing it, that's no success, even if it's giving me all the money in the world. As long as I am aligned to myself and I'm doing the things that make me come to life, I'm doing the things that contribute to society, that's my definition of success right now. Not monetary, just being aligned to myself.
That's of course, I know the way I'm going to define stocks.
No. I don't like that the day. No. Let me know the height of the being. I didn't want money. No one. I like a good life. I don't have to, drink a fine wine. I thought nice food and stuff. So yes, at the end of the day, money will come. That's why I believe that if you're doing the thing, if you're standing in that post where you're supposed to be and you're contributing in the way, I'm trying not to be biblical, because I know not everybody, is. But if you're standing in that position, okay, let me say the quote about the billionaire. There's somebody that said a billionaire is somebody that has helped 1 billion people. That's the way I understand success right now. Like money will come as long as you are contributing to society. So if you are helping 1 million people, for instance, 1 million is coming back to you for the other soldier. Money is secondary. I want it. I love it because it supports all the beautiful things that I like. But at the core, has to be alignment with myself and what my mission and vision here is to deliver this life.
Great. So that's okay. Everyone is going to have in fashion, but I definitely love your definition in terms of the billionaire. You be the billionaire is you should affect a billion people. I asked that question to streamline it to your journey from moving from brand marketing.
I see.
Internal comms. Based on, I can actually tell what, in terms of measuring success from what you've said so far, but I want it to come from the horse's mouth. So, like, how would you define success in that aspect? Moving from brand marketing, taking a moment to self-reflect, seeing yourself like navigating towards internal comms.
Okay. So again, if you had asked me this question 3 years ago, I probably would have said success will be lighting the internal control.
Yeah.
That's kind of like the end goal.
Yeah.
But I have, in 3 years, basically, I've come to realize that the journey is also half of it, So for me, I will define success today, from 2014 till now, as the fact that I've been able to build that community, basically. So that's not something that I had at the beginning of the year. So it's been a journey. So building that community and being known in the community as, Edeje that does this, Edeje that is trying to do this. I think that's a big thing. Like I said before, in 14 years I worked in brand marketing. Asked any brand marketer, who is Edeje that who knows? That kind of thing. So I think that's being able to do that for me is already a big success, and at the end of the day, I want to be able to land the role. That will be a big tick mark, but there's loads of other smaller tick marks in the journey.
That's actually beautiful. And that is what I wanted to hear, because we undermine the little things we do or have done when defining success, where all of those are more like when you're putting together a building and when you're dedicating or launching your new property or stuff like that. And the process that went into that, the bricks, the cements, the neighbors and stuff like that. So those little things coming together was what put that building together. So most times we undermine that process and just look at the building.
Yeah.
So thank you very much. To be honest, I think I've been smiling all through the conversation. I don't know if it's because you're smiling. It's a beautiful to just, see the smile coming in. This is we coming to the close of this conversation. I know people don't want it to end because it's been a very, to be honest, for me, it's very insightful conversation. And so this is the part where we want you to follow the journey so far, the lessons you've learned, dish out some advice to people who want to go through this process as well. So my first question in respect to that is going to be, so for anyone who's listening and who's thinking that I need to change, what's your honest advice about making a career switch as an immigrant into this market?
Honest advice. So to be very open, I would say there's a lot of mindset shifts that need to happen. First of all, the first thing will be what I said. Basically, you're not starting from scratch. You're starting from experience. You have experience. Even moving country is a big experience that a lot of people don't have. So to be able to have that and your professional experience, it's already enough. But once you have that shift in your head, then you have to figure out what are those skills I have here, because there are loads of transferable skills you have across whatever it is you're doing. What are the transferable skills I have? If it's something that is bothering you the same way it bothered me, it has something to do with your values as well. So what are my values? What are the things I like doing? What are the things that if I do, I don't feel good about? If you're able to, first of all, shift in your head that you're not starting from scratch. You have experience that you can work with. Figure out what those experiences are. What are the skills that you have? Figure out what your values are and figure out what makes you come alive. I think that is the key thing, because if you're working it, if I say purpose now, it's taking us in a different place. But if you're working in that thing that is your natural strength, you will fly. So if you're able to get those three things, put it together and try and figure out what profession can I do that will allow me to do those three things, you would fly. Once you're able to do that, then find community. Cannot stress it enough. Community is so key. Find community in your friends, in your family, but the profession that you want to go in, find community within that profession because they will help. with, upskilling. They will help with helping you understand the landscape, the challenges that you might face. So I'd say figure out what it is you want to do, then find community. And don't be afraid of no. You will hear a lot of no's, but only several no's can take you to the yes. So don't be afraid of no's. Hear the no's, but believe what it is you want to do and keep going until you hear your yes.
Only several no's will take you to the yes. Perfect. So quickly, because of time, I actually didn't realize we've been talking for that long. So just looking back, what's that one thing you wish you had knew about career transitioning that you wish I had done this area and, taking so much time to do it?
Yeah, so that's actually one of the reasons I keep telling my story, because I don't believe a lot of people know that it's natural to want to pivot careers at the point in time.
Yeah.
Research actually shows that 50% of people pivot careers at a point in time in their careers. So not feeling that there's something wrong with you, I think it's a big one, because that's the first thing I felt was, what's wrong? Everything is supposed to be good. Why am I feeling this way?
Yeah.
That kind of thing. But knowing fully well that it's not you. There's nothing wrong with you. It's a feeling that people have as you grow, as your values or whatever changes, you start to want different things as well. So it's not you, it's things. So once, I think for me, that was the biggest thing. If I knew that this was something that happens to people, I probably would have fought it as hard as I did. I would have just started figuring out what it is I wanted to do much earlier. And I would have avoided a lot of pain. So that's why I keep sharing my story, because I want people to know that it's normal to pivot careers. And the moment you start feeling uncomfortable, start figuring out what could be, because that will help you expand and go.
Great. Knowing you're not you, but the problem is just most times we think it could be us.
Yeah.
So we become the problem.
Yeah.
Or just detaching yourself from the problem and finding a solution to the problem takes you to that next step.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. The last one. The last one is, if you could give one piece of advice to someone starting fresh in a new country, what would that be? From someone who's been here for
in your new country.
Yeah. Like I didn't even just call.
Yeah. We without sounding like a broken record, again, community. Find your people. And when I say community, I don't mean 10,000 people. Yeah. Find your people in that space that you're in. Go to cafes, go to the shops, go find people in the vicinity that you are, that are your people. And that will help you, number one, not feel so alone.
Mm-hmm.
And it will also help you understand the dynamics of what's going on. So imagine you come and you find somebody that has been there 5 years. They kind of, give you some tips and tricks on how to do it. So yes, without sounding like a broken record, I would say find your people. Where if you move, find people that align with you, and so that you guys can do life together. Because you can go far by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
What's that code?
When you go alone, you go fast.
Exactly.
Always things when you go fast.
Exactly. When you go alone, you go fast. But when you go with people, you go far.
That's it.
That's a key thing that I have, and I would say do.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Edeje. It's so great to have you. Like, to be honest, I really enjoyed this conversation. I really enjoyed this time. And I think I want to do it again, and again. So thank you so much for making that time to be here and just speaking of, connecting with your people. Maybe backstage we have some conversation about, bragging and all of that, but I'll take that off camera. But yeah, guys, I just want to help me to say thank you to Edeje, maybe in the comment section or something. If you want to connect with her, just pick a brain on some stuff. We're gonna attach a handle, LinkedIn, social media handle, and stuff like that, so you can reach out. Another reason or the purpose for this is you connecting to resourceful individuals that can help you navigate your pathway as an immigrant starting up in a country or wanting to pivot just like her. So guys, so definitely do want to reach out, and don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to share, don't forget to leave a comment. We want to share your comments. What do you want to hear about? Give us feedback. What do you want to hear about? What do you want to have on the channel, on the platform, so we can, get those people in But yeah, thank you once again. And this is going to be the ending of our session. If you've got any last minute bit to share, I think this is the moment.
I think I've exhausted anything, but I don't know what to say. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you very much for giving me the platform to say what it is I have to say. I hope it has been helpful, and I hope it helps somebody.